A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I want A plus English because it's so much fun. English education for you and everyone, so come along. Learn some grammar, learn a phrase, learn something new every day. Learn the A plus way. Hey, it's time to start the show. Are you ready? Good, 'cause here we go. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I want A plus English.
Hello everyone, welcome to A Plus English. I'm Mike.
I'm Chickling.
And today we are going to be taking a look into hospital life. Why we love medical dramas.
Okay.
Interesting. So when you say a look into hospital life, we're kind of, getting an idea of what normal life, a normal working day would be like for people in a hospital, right? So what do doctors and nurses, these people who work in hospitals, we know their jobs kind of, but what is a normal day like? But this is very interesting because we're doing it in a way to entertain and inform or educate us. This is why we love medical dramas. So this isn't kind of like a news or a science show where they just go in and, follow a doctor around with a camera. No, this is a show with actors and stories and writers set in a hospital. And we not only see what the doctors and nurses do, but often these doctors and nurses are falling in love
I know,
having,
right?
their normal life along with their working life as, people who work in hospitals like doctors and nurses. So this is very entertaining, I think.
Yeah?
For as long as I can remember, even shows that were famous before I was born, there have always kind of been shows in hospitals, right? It's a very exciting place, life and death. The doctors and nurses are working hard together all the time. I'm sure, doctors and nurses do fall in love and, all sorts of stuff. So there's lots of juicy stuff there for TV writers to write about, actors to really perform, and audiences to watch and get very excited and involved in. So which TV shows about hospitals or set in hospitals have you watched?
I think I definitely have watched some, but I can't seem to recall any. But I know that there are some dramas about hospitals.
Oh, yeah.
Like Doctors. It's a Korean show, right?
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, and also maybe like the White Castle. It's a Taiwanese drama when I was like a long time ago.
A long time ago. Okay, I'm sure there are a lot of Korean dramas set in hospitals. The one I always think about, and I think this was one of the better, at least American TV shows about hospitals, ER, which of course is short for emergency room. You had one of the guys from Top Gun, he was an actor in that. Juliana Margulies, who's got her own show, I think The Good Wife. That's a popular show from recently. And this actor you might have heard of, George Clooney. That was one of his first big jobs, George Clooney, handsome guy, very famous, Ocean's 11, all that kind of stuff. They were all on that show, along with many other actors. And I believe this would be kind of in the late 80s, early 90s. It was the #1 show on TV in America, and it won a lot of those Emmy Awards and stuff. So it was a really very entertaining show. And also, it taught people a lot about what doctors do, and also about what it's like to be, sick. They had blood and they had all sorts of scary stuff. They showed it all to people, but of course people came back for more because they love that kind of entertainment. All right, let's get to our article.
A look into hospital life. Why we love medical dramas. Warm-up question. Which TV shows about hospitals have you watched?
Medical dramas like Hospital Playlist and Dr. Cha have always drawn people in. Have you ever wondered why? They open a window into hospitals. People are curious, yet afraid about what happens there. These shows answer people's questions about what doctors and nurses do every day. This includes patient care and surgeries that most people may never see or experience.
All right, so we mentioned a few of those hospital dramas. We could also say Grey's Anatomy. That's been a popular one. Scrubs, that's another one. It was kind of a comedy set in hospitals. But we're talking about dramas. Dramas are more serious shows. They won't be so much funny as exciting or moving. They might make you laugh and cry and be scared all at the same time in one show. And of course, they are very, very popular with audiences. Here's a few others you guys might know. Medical dramas like Hospital Playlist and Dr. Cha have always drawn people in. Is that about Dr. T? Does he work in
I think it's Korean.
Oh, I see. Oh, okay. It's not like Hong Cha or Lu Cha. Okay, Dr. T. Dr. Cha, they have always drawn people in. When people are drawn in, they're interested in something. They get excited about it. They get fascinated by it. It's not boring to them. It's really interesting to them.
所以跟医院有关的剧啊，机智医师生活、车真淑医师这些片都很深受观众的喜爱。其实蛮多韩国 I think a lot of Korean dramas are like set in a hospital.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah,
because, you know, it makes for good TV. I mean, the other thing is I think people look up to doctors, you know, so having them as the hero character saving the sick child, that's, you know, that's always nice.
But sometimes the operations in the dramas are like done wrong, you know?
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. They're not always. I mean, I think many of them now, they would probably work with a doctor and make sure everything looks good. But it's still TV.
Right.
It still has to be. And of course, someone will get sick and they'll always get better by the end of the show.
Yeah.
You know, so they have to have something happen like that to make people feel happy and satisfied. But here's a question. Have you ever wondered why we have all these hospital dramas? It says they open a window into hospitals. Okay, they open a window into hospitals. No, we don't mean that we're going up to the hospital and we're opening the window to look inside the room. Do not do that. That would be very rude. To open a window into something, basically, in this case, it doesn't mean a real window. It just means letting us see into a world or into an area of life that we don't really get to see very often, right? So a show that might open the window into the life of the president. That might be interesting. You know, we know what the president does, but you know, what do they eat for breakfast and how do they get to work and what's a normal day like for that kind of person? I mean, most of us, we don't go to the hospital that often if we're lucky, right? You might go when you're a kid and you hurt your leg, or when you're older, or you might go and visit someone, but a lot of us don't really know what life is like for a doctor or a nurse. So these shows help to open a window into that world.
所以 opening a window into something 就是提供你了解某件事情的机会，不是真的去开窗户哦。所以大家有没有想过为什么呢？有这么多有关医院的影集，因为这些影集其实可以让我们更了解医院内部到底在做什么。
All right, so we all know what hospitals are. You probably know where the hospitals are in your neighborhood. Maybe you've been there one time or two times to visit someone. It says people are curious yet afraid about what happens there. It's true, if you ever go to the hospital because you're in pain or sick, it can be actually quite a scary thing, right? You don't know what's going to happen. They're going to start poking you with all these things, putting things in your face, you know, putting you in a bed or taking pictures of you with weird cameras. It can all be quite scary. So these shows answer people's questions about what doctors and nurses do every day, and they do it in a safe and entertaining kind of way. So we can enjoy it, but we can also learn at the same time.
所以人们呢，通常会对于医院内到底发生什么事情很好奇，可是又觉得有害怕，因为你看到很多生病的人，你就会觉得好 sad 了。所以这些影集呢，也可以回答人们对医生啊跟护理师日常工作的疑问。
All right, so do you think these medical dramas, these hospital dramas, help people to understand the field of medicine, the life and work of doctors and nurses better?
I think definitely yes, in some ways maybe, but like they show us what happens behind the scenes. So we kind of know like, actually they work very hard, like they have so much work to do. As a doctor, sometimes I don't even, like I have a good friend that's a doctor. He basically sleeps like 3 hours a night, right? So I think it's a really good opportunity for us to learn what's actually going on.
Absolutely. And I think we also learn some of the language and words that doctors use, right? Because some of the shows, they try to be very realistic, very true to what happens. I remember watching one show, my mom used to be a nurse, but I remember saying, what's an EKG and what's an MRI and what does stat mean? And because sometimes they use all these words that you might hear. And, by watching the show, you can learn a lot about that. So a lot of this stuff becomes less frightening. Back to the article, it says, this includes patient care and surgeries that most people may never see or experience. Yes, absolutely. Patient care, just taking care of the patients. This is a little bit more of what the nurses might be doing in the hospital. And surgery, that's when they cut people open. Unless you're a student doctor or you're watching a video, you will never see a surgery, even if you are the one having the surgery, because they usually knock you out, right? They usually put you to sleep. So you just wake up after the surgery. But often in these shows, they got their hands in there and there's blood and it's all a little bit scary. But I think seeing things like that makes it less frightening in real life.
对，所以大家其实就会说，像病患照护啊，或大部分大家没有看过的手术场景，有时候都是可以在剧里面看到。Patient care， 这个 patient 指的是病患，我们等一下会看一下这个字。
These shows often talk about deep topics like life and death. They bring out sadness and happiness and often touch people's hearts. The audience feels like they're riding a roller coaster as the story goes on. That's why people love medical dramas. Get your snacks ready and enjoy these touching shows.
Now, along with all of the drama and the excitement and maybe some of the romance of the doctors and nurses dating each other along with that, these hospital dramas, unlike many other kinds of shows, they often deal with very, very serious things in life. It says these shows often talk about deep topics like life and death. When we say a deep topic, that's like a serious topic, all right? Something that's not kind of fun to talk about. People don't sit around having coffee talking about, I'm going to die and it's going to be scary. People don't usually talk about these things too often until it happens. And sometimes people aren't prepared. But if you see it happen in a show, you can think about it. And that can kind of get your mind a little more comfortable with some of these deep, serious, and sometimes scary topics. And it says they bring out sadness and happiness and often touch people's hearts. Absolutely. The little kid who's really sick but gets better. The older person who's dying and they know it, but they're okay. These kinds of things can be really, really touching. And definitely hospital dramas can get members of the audience to cry during the show because, it is very real stuff that they're showing for our entertainment.
真的，所以其实这些句子有时候探讨就是生与死这样深刻，所以大家就会感到很难过啊。不过也会有一些喜悦的地方啦，所以大家会觉得很好看。So engaging.
Yes, absolutely. What are some other topics along with life and death, just normal life and death? What are some other topics you might see?
Organ donation, like that one I see so much in Taiwanese soap operas.
Interesting.
So
Okay.
cheesy.
Donating your organ. Why do you think that is shown more? Do people in Taiwan feel comfortable about donating organs?
I don't know. Actually, maybe it just seems more dramatic. And in Taiwanese dramas, they just like to make things dramatic.
Interesting. I know in some places, in some cultures, the idea of giving up parts of your body after you die, that's a little scary. People aren't so comfortable with that. But maybe if they see it in a show, they might think, you know what?
Yeah.
If I can die and my kidneys or liver can help another person live, I'd like to do that.
True.
So that's something. Also, mercy killing or euthanasia, assisted suicide.
Oh, yeah.
Someone who's really sick but won't die for a while, but they don't want to live with pain or with, these types of problems. These are, again, deep topics, serious subjects. It says the audience feels like they're riding a roller coaster as the story goes on. Yeah, a lot of these shows, they often have 2 or 3 stories going at the same time, right? So you'll have the serious story about the old man who's dying, but you might have the funny story about the kid who broke his leg or something like that. That's a little more light and entertaining. So that's the roller coaster that we're talking about here. You're not actually getting thrown around or screaming because you think you could fly off the sofa. It just means your emotions, your feelings go on this kind of up and down journey of happiness and sadness all in one show.
所以这边指的不是真正的云霄飞车，是我们情绪的云霄飞车，会有一种跟着剧情起伏的感觉。
And I guess also like a roller coaster, people in the show they'll throw up sometimes too. So that's also kind of like a roller coaster. That's why it says people love medical dramas. We've given you a bunch of good examples. I'm sure there are other ones. I mean, I think with ER, people liked it sometimes. George Clooney's handsome. That was also what they liked. The actors and actresses can be very good looking too.
Right.
So there's all sorts of things you can enjoy by watching those shows. So get your snacks ready and enjoy these touching shows.
所以就是为什么大家这么喜欢医疗剧的原因。所以大家准备好零食，尽情的享受这些感人的剧集吧。
Speaking of eating, it's common to see people watching dramas while eating, right? People eat popcorn or chips or snacks on their sofa or wherever they're watching. Do you do that? Why or why not?
Actually do that sometimes, but not all the time, because when you're watching, you actually don't know how much you're eating, and it's scary for me.
That's a very good point. I don't know if I would be enjoying eating while watching a medical drama.
Oh, true.
If there's a surgery and there's blood and I'm sitting there eating my, hamburger or something like, that might be a little bit
appetite.
Too much. Yeah, I don't think snacking during a hospital drama or maybe a war movie, that would feel a little weird, right?
Yes.
A little strange. All right, we're going to be back with more good stuff.
OK， 我们今天来讲剧集，戏剧的英文就是 drama， 所以我们常会说戏剧性的情节，它的形容词就是 dramatic，like a dramatic plot twist。所以 plot twist 有大逆转、剧情反转的意思。比如说 The show ended with a shocking dramatic twist that no one expected。那我们看一下例句。Betsy likes to watch crime dramas in her free time. Betsy 有空的时候呢，都会看一些犯罪类型的电视剧。那我们有看到 curious 这个形容词，它就是好奇的，所以我们常常会说curious about something 就是对什么有好奇的感觉。He was curious about how the magic trick worked， 或者是你有一个好奇心，就是 a curious mind， 或它的名词就是 curiosity。那我们看另外一个例句 ，Bella is a curious child. She loves to look at the world around her. Bella 是一个充满好奇心的孩子，她喜欢观察周遭的世界。那我们刚刚有讲到 patient care 病患照护，这边是病人的意思是名词，当形容词也有意思哦，它就是很有耐心的意思。所以我们常常可以说谁加一个 be 动词 You need to be patient if you want to see results from your hard work。你要有耐心的等待，你的努力就会成功。那我们看另外一个例句。The patient was very sick, but she's better now and can go home soon. 这个病患之前病得很严重，现在好很多了，很快就可以回家。那最后我们看到观众是 audience， 所以我们常常会说，你在观众席中，英文就可以说 in the audience。比如说 They were lucky enough to be in the audience during the live concert。那我们看另外一个句子 The audience of this talk show laughs at Robert's funny stories。这个脱口秀的观众呢，听着 Robert 很滑稽的故事，一直笑。那我们的 Magic Box 出现的 bring out， 它就是使什么东西凸显出来。它的三态是 brought。所以 bring out 我们也可以指推出一个产品啊，或发布产品的意思。比如说 The company is planning to bring out a new smartphone next month。所以他们要推出新的产品。So that's pretty much about it for today's lesson. But right now, before we end today's episode, let's go to our review time activity.
Review time.
All right, we have our review time game to do before we wrap it up. Let's look at those new words that we came across in our article. Drama, curious, patient and audience. Are you ready to play a game of definitions?
Sure.
I will describe the word, give you the definition, like what you might read in the dictionary. If you look up the word, and you have to tell me which word I am talking about. Are you ready to go?
Yes.
One who is under the care of a medical professional.
Patient.
A patient. Very good. There's the doctor, there's the patient. If you're sick, you are getting medical care, so you are a patient. Someone who has many questions and a lot of interest in a topic.
Curious.
Yes, you are very curious. You have lots of questions. You want to know more. A group of people watching a performance of some kind.
That's an audience.
That's an audience. And maybe what they're watching is full of emotion.
Drama.
It's drama. That's right. Dramas are full of people acting and emotions. Well done.
Yay!
You get a clean bill of health in vocabulary. Thanks for joining us, guys. We're going to have more great articles. Until then, we wish you all the most exciting hospital dramas you can find. And please do come back and join us for our exciting not so hospital drama.
所以今天的主题是不是很精彩啊？欢迎到空中家教跟老师同学一起线上聊更多咯，拜拜。
Take care.